Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari 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 Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Bharatari 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 Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Yasoda Nandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachani Nirvisesha Nivale Prasthadadistarani. Read it. Okay, we could read page 402. Do you have books? Yeah, okay. Page 402, text number 22. There's a verse Chapter 9, text 22, page 402. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, text 22. You can repeat after me. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ye jana parupasate. Ye jana parupasate. Tesham nityabhayuktanam. Tesham nityabhayuktanam. Yogachemam bahamiyaham. Yogachemam bahamiyaham. We'll try it again. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ananyas chintayanto mam. Ye jana parupasate. Ye jana parupasate. Tesham nityabhayuktanam. Tesham nityabhayuktanam. Yogachemam bahamiyaham. Yogachemam bahamiyaham. Okay, translation. Ananya, having no other object. Chintayanta, concentrating. Mam, on me. Yea, those who. Jana, persons. Paryupasate, properly worship. Tesham, of them. Nitya, always. Abhiyuktanam, fixed in devotion. Yoga, requirements. Chemam, protection. Vahami, carry. Aham, I. Translation. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Repeat after me. But those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. Report by Srila Prabhupada. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service, by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition of life. So, this Bhagavad Gita, for most people, is mysterious because most people are not engaged in devotional service. They're engaged in all kinds of other services because we are servants by nature. We serve our senses, we serve our families, we serve our country. We serve in so many ways. But real service, our intentional service, what we are made to do is to serve Kṛṣṇa. But within the material world, we have decided that we don't want to serve Kṛṣṇa. We don't want to have Kṛṣṇa in our life. That's why we have come to this material world. And so, Kṛṣṇa, by his mercy, hides behind the material energy, and he does not reveal himself. So, human life is meant for understanding Kṛṣṇa, but unfortunately in this day and age, we are very sinful, and we don't really want to know about Kṛṣṇa. Srila Prabhupada said that actually we don't really want to go back to Godhead. We want to continue to live in the material world and carry out our fantasy of being the Supreme Lord. And that is our fall down. But for those who worship Kṛṣṇa, okay, there are so many impediments, especially in this age. People are taught to be sense enjoyers. We're taught that sense gratification is the goal of life. We're educated in that way in the modern materialistic schools. But for those who worship Kṛṣṇa, if there's no loss, even if there is some fall down. Okay, so even if someone engages in devotional service, Kṛṣṇa is always there to help. Right? We're not by ourselves. We're never alone, actually, because Kṛṣṇa is within our heart. So, Srila Prabhupada came to this country as the representative of Kṛṣṇa to teach us what we are trying to forget. We have forgotten about our relationship with Kṛṣṇa. And Srila Prabhupada has come and given us these literatures and a society and places to come to hear about Kṛṣṇa, which is exclusive to human form of life. Animals don't go to temple. Well, they might come for prasadam or something, or born as a cockroach or something. But human life is meant to understand Kṛṣṇa consciousness. When I got Bhagavad Gita for the first time, I was 20 years old. It's about, let's see, I'm 70, so that makes about 50 years ago, quite a while ago. Reading Bhagavad Gita, and it said on every single page, it said, devotional service is the only way to understand God. What does that mean? What is devotional service? So I had to know. So I called the temple. And they said, why don't you come down on Saturday? We'll show you some devotional service. So I came down to the temple, and the temple president said, he directed one of the devotees, said, take this new bhakta to the kitchen and show him some devotional service. Aha. I was shown a large stack of pots and told, this is devotional service. So, it's practical. But it's not speculation. We're not in some kind of a altered state, as they say. This is not brainwashing or anything like that, because this is the eternal characteristic of living beings. Devotional service is what we are meant to do. But we're ignoring devotional service and we're doing other kinds of service. We don't want to serve Kṛṣṇa. We have rebelled. Okay. So, as the Christians say, we have to turn over a new leaf. Okay, I'm not saying you, because you are all devotees that are 100 times more, 1,000 million times more devoted than me, so I'm only preaching to myself. But this is a difficult thing for most people because we, especially as we get older, we've become fixed in our ways. We have a concept of life that we cling to. And if something comes along and contradicts that or undermines the underpinnings of our existence, it's a shock. It's difficult to accept sometimes, right? They have a term for it. It's called cognitive dissonance, and I'm sure they've heard that word lately in regards to a phenomenon that's going on in the world today, this COVID thing. So when someone says you are actually not your body, that's revolutionary, especially in these Western countries, especially in America. No, wait. I am this body. We're living our life with the intent of enjoying our body, right? Everything in school, all that we're learning is about how to enjoy the human life, right? You get some big jobs, you get some money, so you can enjoy, right? And in the meantime, all kinds of sinful activities along the way, intoxication and sex and gambling and eating animals. So where's the satisfaction in it? That's what's missing. But we want to kind of glaze it over because we think, well, it'll come, right? I'm working hard so that someday I'll be happy. I can retire, or whatever it is, or please somebody. Working hard to buy a car to give to my wife or my kid or whatever it may be, right? But we're never satisfied, and neither are the people that we're serving. Can anybody say that we're completely satisfied by serving someone other than Kṛṣṇa? I've never found it. I'm trying hard for 70 years, right? We can't fully reciprocate with each other. We're doing everything but trying to serve Kṛṣṇa. But when you come to Kṛṣṇa consciousness, you get a book and you understand something about Kṛṣṇa consciousness, then all of a sudden we waking up, realizing, yes, I am a servant of Kṛṣṇa. And when I'm working for Kṛṣṇa, I feel that. I feel satisfaction. It's just like when you're eating, nobody has to tell you that you're feeling satisfaction, right? So when you're serving Kṛṣṇa, you feel, this is what I'm meant to do. This is what life is all about. I am part of Kṛṣṇa. Not I'm Kṛṣṇa. I'm not Kṛṣṇa. I'm not separate from Kṛṣṇa in a sense, but I am independent, right? Our existence depends on Kṛṣṇa's existence. We cannot exist without him, okay? We don't even know, we put food in our mouth, we don't know how it's being digested. We don't know how our immune systems are working. We don't have to think about it. How's that going on? I mean, someone's arranging that, but we choose to ignore that. In material life, we only focused on, how much I can enjoy or how I can avoid a miserable condition, right? But the real life is having a relationship, a reciprocation with the Supreme Lord. And in Kṛṣṇa's planet, the Kṛṣṇa Loka planet, they don't know and they don't care if Kṛṣṇa is God or not. Their love is so strong, their love is so pure. They love Kṛṣṇa because he's Kṛṣṇa, because he's wonderful, he's lovable, he's all attractive. They're not interested in the opulence, they're not interested in the awe and the veneration which goes on in the Vaikuntha planets. The Vaikuntha planets are also spiritual, people live there eternally, but there's a special planet, the Kṛṣṇa Loka planet. So they render service spontaneously. They don't have to practice. So right now, as we are beginning our process of bhakti yoga, trying to love Krishna, we can't just all of a sudden, right, here I am, we've been AWOL for eons, and all of a sudden, I'm going to have this relationship with Krishna. It's unfortunately, it's called being sahajiya. It means taking things cheaply, right? Devotional service, pure devotional service to Krishna is very rare. It's hard to achieve because we are so conditioned. Even though we may know something, we're familiar with the philosophy or whatever, but we still have hanging on to these material things. It's like when we chant the Maha Mantra, there are certain offenses. One of them is to maintain material attachments while chanting. So there's a beginner, we're all beginners in this. But then when you actually attain pure devotional service, the other things will disappear. It's automatic. But it requires that we do things properly, right? And so in the process of bhakti yoga, it's like getting cured from a disease. If the doctor says, I'm sorry, but because you have this certain disease, you can't eat. You'll have to fast. Nobody wants to fast. Does anybody want to fast? Do people like fasting? I don't like fasting. But sometimes, because you have some disease, the prescription is from the doctor that you can't eat. Okay. So sometimes we're faced with a situation where we have had a habit of doing certain things, but because we're practicing Krishna consciousness, we have to give them up. And the real secret is that if you practice Krishna consciousness very sincerely, these other things will simply evaporate. I don't really want to reveal what I used to do before I became a devotee, so it took me a while because I was attached to certain habits that I was doing. But when I started chanting and associating with devotees, one day a devotee came up to me. I was just coming to the temple. He said, "Do you eat meat?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "You shouldn't eat meat because the animal has to suffer just so you can taste its flesh. That you shouldn't give trouble to the animals. You should be a vegetarian." And at the time, I didn't think that you could live without eating meat. Every single day of my life to that point. But he was explaining something that I should have understood. But from that day, from that moment, I didn't know how to cook, but I did not eat meat from that very day. So sometimes it's difficult because we have certain things that we're attached to. Someone's, unfortunately attached, there are many people attached to drugs, or they're attached to, sex life or something like that. Unfortunately, these things happen. But by chanting Hare Krishna, then the taste goes away. The things that I used to do that I enjoyed doing before, it seemed tasteless. Going somewhere to see something. Where can you go to see anything more beautiful than Radha Giridhari? Is there anything more beautiful out there? Maybe another temple. But there's nothing in material nature that will give you the taste for Krishna consciousness. But sometimes because of habit, sometimes we forget. Or sometimes we're in association with someone who is doing something, and you succumb to it, maybe. Because maybe some people smoked with some friends who were smoking, and maybe they smoke or something. But you find that the taste, even if you go back to what you were doing before, the taste isn't there anymore. And that's the way of material life anyway. Right? You make some arrangement, right? You go, okay, let's say you go buy a boat. I'm telling you from my personal experience. Okay, when I was a kid, my father bought a sailboat, little sailboat, right? So you go down the boat, and you go out on it. It's a lot of fun, the wind blowing, and you go here and there, So then, let's do it again. And everybody has the same experience. You try to recreate what enjoyment you had before, and you have to kind of convince yourself that you're still enjoying, right? That somehow or other, you're going to do it again, Sam, right? But it doesn't give the satisfaction. It just doesn't. And that's the way of material life. But by serving Kṛṣṇa, we don't lose the taste. It's not like, oh, well, I chanted Hare Krishna, so, that petered out. That's so yesterday. We're still chanting after so many years because this taste is still there. Krishna is still there. So it's a gradual process. It can take many lifetimes, actually. But just think that once you return to the spiritual world, there's no death, there's no old age, there's no disease, and everyone's happy. They don't talk, they sing. They don't walk, they dance. They're happy. Sometimes we feel happy. It's a natural condition to be happy. But the happiness comes and goes. It's circumstantial. So suppose you like to go surfing. So you have to wait for a good day, right, when the waves are breaking right, okay? And if it's really cold, you got to wear the wetsuit, right? And you go there. I'm telling you from personal experience. And you paddle out, and that's a lot of work, okay? You get in the water, and then you got to wait for the right wave. But then, you wipe out, and there's always something. And this is enjoyment, right? You go skiing, you go up in the mountains, freezing cold, you have to wear all kinds of clothes, and spend a whole lot of money buying skis, or maybe you rent them or whatever, and you slide down the hill with the risk you may fall down and break your leg or cut yourself open. Like I say, been there and done that, okay? So we take suffering to be enjoyment. And there's other examples I could give, I'll just let it go. But the point is that material life is very dry. It's very dry. But people are, impelled by the mode of passion. Okay? People are not aware of Krishna consciousness. They don't know anything else. They just know, I got to have a girlfriend, I got to have a fast car, I got to have a nice house, I got to have this, I got to have that. So work, right? And the result of the mode of passion is misery. That's what happens. It's a package deal. You're impelled to try to enjoy, and ultimately it culminates in sex life. But where's the happiness? Right? Half of our marriages or more are failing. Why? Because there's no Krishna consciousness. And I'm not saying that if in other religions they don't have Krishna consciousness. They may have Jesus consciousness, or they may believe in some other thing. So I'm not saying that we're the only one. But if you have God consciousness in your life, then all the ups and downs get smoothed out. But the more we engage in sense gratification, which is the mode of passion, the more miserable we become. The happiness just seems to disappear, right? And there's always some conflict, right? If you're enjoying, somebody else is going to be envious. How come you people are so happy? That's one of the things that people used to accuse the Hare Krishnas. You're always happy, You must be high. You must be, crazy. How can you be happy all the time? Because they're not happy. they're not happy. They're looking for happiness, but they're not finding it. And this is the way of Maya. As long as we don't want to surrender to Kṛṣṇa, the illusory energy is there to kick us, to whip us. Isn't it? Right? We're just being kicked from one end to the other. And even sometimes as a devotee, we lose a taste, or we're not in association, not chanting, or, then Maya comes along and it's miserable. So Kṛṣṇa consciousness is the goal and the method. Chanting is going on now, and it will go on eternally. There's no end to it. It's not that we're doing something now, but when we go to the spiritual world, it's different. It's not different. We're serving Kṛṣṇa. You're bringing something to Kṛṣṇa. You're cooking for Kṛṣṇa, or chanting Kṛṣṇa's name. This is spiritual life. You're living spiritual life by coming here. And you're experiencing it, and you're feeling the satisfaction. Anybody say otherwise? The thing is that we are eternal, but we're in a condition where everything is temporary. Until you come to Kṛṣṇa consciousness and you realize that all these other things that are going on, it's just things that you're obliged to do. But the reality is that we are eternal beings, and that we have an eternal relationship with Kṛṣṇa, a loving, eternal, personal relationship with Kṛṣṇa. But in the present time, because of our attachment, that relationship is not realized. It's not manifest yet. Okay, so we're kind of in a, what do you call I want to say on parole. What do they call it? Like that. You're in a position of practice. It's called sadhana. We do spiritual activities to keep ourselves on track. But there's more. The devotees in Vrindavan, they're not doing sadhana. They've achieved the perfection. Okay? They don't have to practice thinking of Kṛṣṇa. They can't not think of Kṛṣṇa. Okay? The gopis are condemning Brahma for making eyelids. What the heck we need eyelids for? They have to blink, and they don't see for a nanosecond. We don't see Kṛṣṇa. What was he thinking? So the devotees of Kṛṣṇa, they've achieved the perfection. They don't have to practice. Okay. So right now we're kind of in a probationary period. That was the word I was thinking. We're in a kind of probationary period. And sometimes, like I say, with some bad habit or something, we may, forget. And actually during the day we're sometimes thinking of Kṛṣṇa and sometimes not. So our devotion is mixed. Okay. But it is an eternal activity, and it's what we're meant to do. Does anybody have any comments? Anybody say your realization? You agree? You're here every week. You like it? You must like it. Yeah, I see you every week here. So, anybody not like coming to the temple? No, there's a taste. We have a taste for it. Right? Years ago, I was a brahmachari. I lived in the temple. I miss it a lot. So it's a little difficult because right now Kṛṣṇa consciousness is new in the Western world anyway. Okay? For the outside, from where I came from and how I got swept up in Lord Chaitanya's movement, I cannot understand, actually. I was going to be an engineer. I had a friend who was a youth minister, but being a priest or a preacher was the last thing on my bucket list. But somehow or other, I met the devotees, and I started chanting, and I started, feeling, even though I didn't like the shaved head. Of course, I don't have a shaved head, but, the appearance was strange. And where I grew up, there were no Indians. There were no black people. It was all white. The white ghetto, I guess you could call it. And when I went to the temple, I saw all these Indian people there. Oh my gosh. Putting on the tilak, the face paint, wearing the robes, and then you go to Artik and the doors open and there's the billows of incense and smoke and everything, and devotees chanting, and it's like mind-blowing stuff. But within myself, I felt like I belonged. That I feel somehow, I don't know why, I feel at home. And I think we can all say that. We belong here. This is our place. We have Prabhupada. We have the devotees. We have the deities. This is our home. And we're in the same family. We have this common father. We're all brothers and sisters. So this is the mood. This is the way this temple has always been since I came down here in 1980, that it's very personal. This is very, very personal. Last night they had a program. I think there were about 30 people. I wasn't there. I didn't know about it. But they had a home program, okay? Housewarming or whatever it was, okay? So we care about each other, just like in a family. And we have one devotee, Rajendra Nandana. Do you all know Rajendra Nandana? Okay, he's very ill, and he has cancer. So we're very concerned. When something happens in our greater family, we're concerned. We pray for them. At some point, maybe we'll go and visit or whatever. So this is family. It's not that people just come here. This is a congregation. This is amongst us, amongst each other, and that's how we should feel. And not just somebody comes in the door and goes away. So that should be the mood, that we're all serving Krishna. We're all devotees of Krishna. We're part of the Krishna family. And we belong here. This is our place. So. Any other comments? Or? I've blabbed on a lot. So. All right. Thank you very much for hearing me out. All right,